flip-flops on, singing to that highway song. Got a little naive smile, the kind that drives you out. Nothing like playing with fire, brings boy to life. Beat you with a fuse you light, you're good dynamite. You made my day when you walked inside town beside me, whispered with your eyes, let's go. You made me say, what's your name, girl, you're lonely. Can I call you if I ever go down?
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
14:20 in the morning, 14 minutes and 20 seconds worth of sports talk to get you through your daily commute. Hot takes, recaps, best bets, and a little humor to get your day going in the right direction. Sit back, grab your coffee, and let's get into it. 14:20 in the morning for this, what is it, the 5th day of October, 2023. Today's show, as always, is brought to you by SeatGeek.com and the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420pod at SeatGeek.com today and save yourself $20 on your first purchase. Remember, we are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Go to bellyupsports.com and check out all the great articles and other podcasts as well there at bellyupsports.com. And thank you very much for making this a part of your day each and every day. From all of us here at 1420 World Headquarters. Major League Baseball, it's such a game of inches when it comes to the playoffs. It's such a game of feel, and it's such a game of the next man up mentality, and on it goes. And it's such a fine line between winning and losing throughout the Major League Baseball playoffs. Yeah, usually you get the blowout here and there. It does happen, but in general, the games are very close. It's a pitch here and a pitch there, a call here, a call there. Not so much calls anymore, obviously, with instant replay and the like, but the pitches can change the outcome of a game, how it is. That's one thing I like about baseball, is that everything can change at the blink of an eye, I guess, and how it can all turn out. Case in point, yesterday, that Tampa Bay Rays game, the close but no cigar Tampa Bay Rays, as I called them, and they had a chance yesterday. They were down 1-0 in the fourth inning. The things were going okay, and then it just kind of fell off. Down 1-0, 2 out in the fourth after a Aroldis Garcia home run. Josh Lung of the Rangers hits a little looper to right field. Just went sideways right from there. Rays right fielder Josh Love goes for it, misses a little looper by inches. Run scored. Next Ranger up, Evan Carter. He hit a home run to make it 4-0, and that's it. The wind were completely out of the sails for the Tampa Bay Rays, and that was it. Tampa loses 7-1. Season's over. Now we can go back to not caring about the Tampa Bay Rays once again, as their extra 2 games after winning 99 are done. Next up for the Texas Rangers are the 10-1 Baltimore Orioles. It's crazy to think that Baltimore or Tampa's right there year in, year out, and just can't get anything done. And like I said, a game of inches, a little looper. He catches that ball. It's a 1-0 game, and you never know what could happen. But once you start losing a bit, they would finally find a way to get into that situation where they would do some damage and find a way to win that series, but they didn't get it done, and that's just the way that sometimes it goes with a team like Tampa. And it just didn't work out for Tampa, and Texas moves on now. They're a very good baseball team in Texas. I thought they were going to fall apart, 100% fall apart before it was all said and done, especially with the way they finished the season with the Seattle Mariners, as we've talked about in the past. You just wonder what Tampa does next, and Tampa's got to do something about that ball field. I know they've had some thoughts this past week or in the last couple of weeks to end up going forward and doing something a little bit different, but they're not doing it, and they're not moving forward because that ballpark had a lot of empty seats yesterday. They don't have the greatest fan base where it is, but the time of day, as we talked about as well, the time of day didn't help at all for the Tampa Bay Rays to have that game start. It would have been at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. People are still at work, people are doing things, kids are in school, and on it goes. And then especially when you're down 1-0 in the wild card round, in the best of 3, you're down 1-0. The interest is probably going to wane a little bit. You're not going to have a very good crowd rolling into your ballpark and everything else. It's just it's a shame that happened. It's a shame that Tampa Bay can put out a good team year in, year out, but close but no cigar. They're contenders, and that's all they are. They're pretenders every year. They haven't never got it done. They're not that good. It's just plain and simple. Yeah, you can win 99 games as they did, which is a hell of a feat for a team like that, and they can do it year in, year out. But until they can get a win here or there and get something done and get something going up the alley, up the to figure out how to get over the hump. They're going to be the close but no cigar Tampa Bay Rays to me, and it's just it's too bad the way it goes. And the game is such a game of feel, and you can't put guys at like a foot here, a foot there. It doesn't much matter. The way that outfielder dove for that baseball, if he catches that, like I said, it's a 1-run ball game in the fourth instead of a 4-run ball game in the fourth, and the feel of baseball that you get on a you know when it's over, and you almost feel like you can swim and never get back to the surface, and that's kind of what Tampa Bay happened with them yesterday. We'll see where they go next year, and we'll see what happens with the Texas Rangers when they head out to Baltimore and face that team who's sitting there waiting for them. There's something about a Billy Joel concert and Stevie Nicks. They had to move the time frames around and the starts around. We'll see how that all turns out with the Baltimore Orioles and the Texas Rangers. I think it should be a hell of a series. Texas starting to hit the baseball again like they have all season. And if Baltimore doesn't pitch it very well, you're going to have a major situation. Let's move on to the feel for the game that this seems to be gone. I don't know what the hell happened or why this happens throughout Major League Baseball. I have no idea what's going on there. The basics seem to be missing. Toronto was in a must-win situation yesterday. I'm just beyond belief. They left 2 runners on in the first base. They left 2 runners on in the second inning, and they couldn't get any runs for some reason. They had Barrios out there, and he pitched 3 innings. He was great. Walked a guy in the fourth, and then they went by the script, and then you had I'm at a loss for words. You had John Schneider come out and make the trade, putting Kikuchi in. In fact, Kikuchi was warming up in the first inning of that ball game yesterday for the Toronto Blue Jays, and Barrios was unbelievable. He was great, striking out a bunch of guys. He had 47 pitches in the top of the fourth with the none out, and then the bottom of the fourth, sorry, and then they put Kikuchi in, and everybody, all Jays fans know what happened. All of a sudden, it was 2-0, and then it was 3-0 or 2-0, and then the game was basically over because the Jays can't hit. I cannot believe the major problem you got here is I don't think it's the problem that you had Kikuchi coming in there because he only gave up the 2 runs, which is fine. But the thing is, when you have a guy rolling and then you start going by a script, the next guy up mentality, it doesn't always work. In fact, we talk about that a lot here at 1420 in the morning, that eventually when you start using more bodies and more human beings find a way to screw these things up. And it's too bad for the rest of this stuff for Barrios, the way he was there. I would, if I'm Barrios, I'm on an Uber out of that ballpark, and I'm leaving. I'm see you later. I'm done with this crap in Toronto. It's an unbelievable event, turn of events that happened yesterday with the Toronto Blue Jays. You don't understand why these analytics guys think they always have to be the smartest guy in the fucking room. There, I swore first thing in the morning, and why it goes on like this. Like, you look at that team, how it's built, and the analytics and everything else, and it isn't working. You had another base running disaster yesterday in Toronto there with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in the 5th inning or the 6th inning. It doesn't much matter what inning it was. When he gets picked off at second base, and you got your best hitter behind or at the plate with 2 strikes on, he was a full count, and then you have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Going down, getting picked off at second base. That can't happen. That cannot happen at any stage of the season, especially when you're down 2 runs, you're having trouble scoring runs, and you get picked off because you're probably talking to somebody, because you do that at first base all the time. Guerrero Jr., how about this? Next year, come in shape. Come in shape next season. How's that sound? There, someone finally had to say it, and I'm the one to say it. Guerrero Jr. and Bichette are not leaders on that baseball team. That was an absolute disgraceful. That's 2 years in a row they've been swept out in the wild card round. That's 2 years in a row that they got nothing done. And Guerrero Jr. is to blame for that, and Bichette to blame for that. They're immature. The 2 base running mistakes in those 2 games were by who? The guys who are supposed to be their 2 best players, the guys who want to get paid $1 billion each and everything else. Guerrero Jr. gets picked off in that situation. Where are you going? Where are you going? You got a guy at third. Where are you going? Like, if you're not going to score on a bloop single anyway, so because you're so out of shape and overweight, what are you doing trying to do anything? Probably looking around, looking for something. I don't get the feel for the game, and the loss of knowledge in the game of baseball is another thing. And then you look in the Jays dugout yesterday, and then they're all on their iPads after the game. I would walk into that clubhouse, into that dugout. I know the iPads are part of the game. I understand it. Watch the game and get a feel for the game, and watch what occurs, and forget about the analytics for once. Play the game, hit the ball, run, catch the baseball, pitch it a little bit, have a gut feeling. This isn't on Schneider. This is not on Schneider at all. This is on Atkins 100%, having the analytics guys in there, and the nerds always having to be the smartest guys in the room. And now the Toronto Blue Jays are on the outside looking in. Was Kikuchi the reason why they lost yesterday? No, it's because they can't hit in situations. They don't get clutch hits when they need. They left 8 guys on base yesterday, and there it is. There's your season. But having a feel for the game that's something that Toronto does not have, and Atkins and the Nerds, look, when you have that game scripted, when Kikuchi's warming up in the first inning, and you have one of your best pitchers on the hill, who's pitched 47 pitches, and now Barrios is out of the game, and then Kikuchi comes in, gives up a walk and a hit, and on it goes, and then it's over. What kind of faith does the rest of the team have in their management system, and in the rest of the team? Even if they do well, they're getting pulled anyway. So what's the point? It's absolutely ridiculous. Or is that how today's athlete they just get themselves so far and say, you know what, I did my job. That's all I can do. That's all I can do. If they pull me, that's all I can do. This is kind of on Schneider, because Schneider could have had a bit of gut feel, called upstairs and said, you know what, he's having a hell of a game. He's doing well. Let's forget about the lefty-righty matchup, and on it goes. He could have called upstairs to Atkins, you know what, I'm not pulling him. Then what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Fire him mid-game? Schneider could have done that. I guarantee if John Gibbons would have been given that ultimatum back when he was the manager for the Toronto Blue Jays, I guarantee you that Gibbons would have said, "No, man, we're keeping him in here. We got a guy rolling here. If we win, we got to have a bullpen tomorrow. We got to have everybody going tomorrow because you're eating innings. All you want to do." What was the plan if they would have won the game yesterday? What was the plan? Because they used Romano in the 7th inning yesterday, and he's supposed to be your closer. They didn't have a plan. So the Nerds and all their analytics and stats and numbers, you got to have a feel for the game. And that's what baseball is all about, especially when it comes to the postseason. You look at that Philadelphia team, we'll get to them in half a second. They're just playing baseball and having a good time, and that crowd's electric. Unbelievable. Like, it's unbelievable. Let's get back to the Jays here. The greatest manager they ever had. He had a bunch of Hall of Fame guys. I understand that. They had a high payroll, but Cito Gaston got the job done, and he didn't let the front office. And that's back when front office didn't over manage. They didn't have analytics guys or everything else. But the feel for the game was always important in baseball. More it is in the last 5 to 10 years. I do not understand why it works. I know every team uses analytics, and every team has a situation where they use the guys who the numbers that matter. But there's certain times and certain places where you can't do that. Numbers lie. Numbers lie in baseball all the time. 100% of the time, numbers lie. You can't predict a base hit. You can't predict a bloop. You can't predict an error. You can't predict how a guy feels someday. You can't predict how a guy's curveball is moving. You can't predict how a guy's slider is moving that day. And for the Jays to make that move yesterday in the 4th inning with 47 pitches thrown in a game you have to win to keep your season going, to make that deal, to make that move yesterday, I do not understand it. And you know what? The thing is that 47 million people, or whoever, how many people watch that game, every single one of them are going, what the hell is going on here? Why is that change being made? The only people that thought that move was right was 3 people in the Blue Jays analytics system. The players didn't understand it. The manager Schneider had a hard time explaining it. I do not understand for the life of me how 3 people can think the rest of the country is wrong. The rest of the country is up in arms today saying, what the hell is going on there? How can you make that trade? No, they didn't get hits. No, they didn't score a run. Sonny Gray got himself into trouble, especially in the first 2 innings. I get it. But when you have a team going, looking around, looking over their shoulders, going, what are we doing here? And so you start thinking about everything but getting at bats. They didn't score runs all series long. They didn't score runs this season. They have to do a long, hard look in that organization and figure out what they're doing with that organization and how they're going to get it all taken care of. Because right now that team is so far away from doing anything. That team was poised to win a couple of championships, but their leadership isn't there. Guerrero Jr.'s got to come in shape next year. Bobichev's got to quit worrying about his hair and how everything else feels. Those 2 guys cost the game yesterday. Those 2 guys cost the game on Tuesday, and it's 100% the analytics guys and Ross Atkins and his crew of nerds. And it's not. I wouldn't blame Schneider at all. Schneider could have maybe said, you know what, I'm not doing what I was told. They're not going to fire me today. They'll fire me tomorrow. You know, it could have been that situation. But all these guys and how management and how it all gets taken care of on the up and up, I will never understand it. It does not make any sense to me how the feel for the game of baseball has gone the wayside. And I just blame how the kids don't even watch the game anymore. You can't even make these players watch the game when it's right in front of you, right in front of them. They got the best seats in the house, and they're watching a freaking iPad. Watch the game in front of you, learn what's going on. Getting picked off at second base is completely irresponsible on Guerrero Jr.'s fat ass. It's all on him. And the way he went he got picked off by 3 feet. Danny Isagna made a great call on that. And the first thing he does is try to get a replay to save his ass from being called out. This one is on Guerrero. Awful. Shut your mouth at first base. Play the game. Quit being so. You got to come in shape next year. This team is a joke. It's an absolute farce. It's an absolute farce what went on with that ball club yesterday. I didn't think I was going to get this revved up about the Toronto Blue Jays, but like I said before, when the rest of the country's involved in it and the Jays are relevant, people are watching a lot more. Now no one's going to watch. There'll be still the baseball dorks, the baseball nerds like myself who are going to watch. But in general, most of the country is going to be like, you know what, it's hockey season next week. That's it. We don't care. And this is all on Atkins and the nerds and Vladdy Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette. Like Guerrero getting picked off at second base, that can never happen, especially when their best hitter is up to bat with a 3-2 count. He's going to get a pitch to hit. He's going to get a pitch to hit, and you're busy looking there for a cheeseburger in the stands. It's absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. In the sixth inning, they came up. They had two guys on again. What's his name? He hit. I can't remember his name. He hit a shot down the third base line. It was a foot foul, and then that was it. Next pitch, ground ball to a double play. They would have tied the game up right there. It's such a game of inches and such a game of who knows what could happen. It's crazy that it turned out that way once again for the Toronto Blue Jays, and they didn't get it done, and they're not going to get it done. They're going to lose a bunch of guys to free agency, a bunch of guys who are never going to play for the Jays again as of yesterday at 5:30. And I called it. I don't want to say I told you so, but I told you so. It's pretty easy. You throw enough shit in the wall, something's bound to stick. But yeah, the other two series I didn't get to watch a whole bunch of last night, the late games with the Philadelphia Phillies and the Miami Marlins and the Milwaukee Brewers and the Arizona Diamondbacks. I was in the Belly Up Hockey Show last night. Make sure you guys check that out. But it was that Philly atmosphere is something else. Like there was kind of a downer the whole bit, the way it all turned out, because the games with sweeps and everything else. Major League Baseball's onto something with the wild card. I get it. It's fantastic down the stretch with the drama and everything else. But so far, the 2 years that the wild card has been in baseball, it hasn't worked out for the baseball side of things. Only the one time in the 8 series that have been played so far has it went past the second game last year with the Mets and the Padres. I think it was they went 3. But in general, it hasn't been great baseball. It hasn't been dramatic whatsoever. And it's one of those things that they got to try to tweak it a little bit. Maybe go back the other way, but they probably aren't going to, because it keeps people in the game, keeps people watching the game as it progresses, as the season progresses. Otherwise, if you only had the 4 division winners, and that'd be it. And you wouldn't, if you went back the old way, and baseball this season would be over the second week of September, nobody watching. I get why baseball did it. They have to find a way to tweak it a little bit, find more competitive games, because so far the games have not been that competitive. The series haven't been competitive. They're all done, and now we got to wait till Saturday again to watch baseball, which is how it goes. I mean, it's not really baseball's fault that the series ended up the way they were going, but it's just it's over, and it didn't work. The start times aren't good for a lot of people, especially here in Canada or in the Pacific, to watch games at the start. Like you look at the crowds that were happening. It wasn't just in Tampa. There were some empty seats here and there everywhere else except in Philly. What an atmosphere in Philly! That's unbelievable. What's the name? He hit that grand slam last night when he was coming up to bat. And Brian Stott, I think his name was, and the Ty Verde's A-OK was being sung. It was unbelievable. Verde or whatever his name is, whatever that song. It was fantastic to listen to that atmosphere in Philly. But Major League Baseball has to find a way for this to get a lot more competitive. Have to find a way to try to stretch these games out a little bit, because so far the increased wild card hasn't been great in the 2 years they've been doing it. They'll figure it out. They always do in baseball. They're not going to give games back. They're not going to go in reverse. It's because it's all about money. If they can get the TV deals, everything else done. But something's got to happen with Major League Baseball and with this wild card round. I like it. It just needs some tweaking to find a way to get the games a little bit more competitive. So now you got the big boys are coming in. Now the matchups are set. You have Texas and Baltimore, Houston and Minnesota, the American League West battle of the LA Dodgers and the Arizona Diamondbacks. And then you have the heavyweight battle. This one's going to be a beauty with the Atlanta Braves and the Philadelphia Phillies. I hope the Phillies go. That fan base is unbelievable how they were rocking yesterday. So I hope the Phillies can kind of push through. But, obviously Ronald Acuna Jr., he's on the 40-70 pace and everything else. And then it's going to be interesting to see how that goes with that series. But it's going to be a humdinger. I think the Dodgers will wipe up with the Arizona, but they can pitch, obviously, like we talked about the other day. And then Houston, Minnesota finally won the series, so maybe they'll keep rolling. And Houston's better on the road than they are at home. home. So you're going to see how that one turns out. And the Texas-Baltimore series should be a beauty as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun once we get going again on Saturday. Hopefully the series are a little more competitive. Hopefully we get a few games past the first day or so, or the first 3 days, and it's all over. Hopefully maybe something go the distance. We get a 4 or 5 and a little bit of drama involved, because it's the greatest game in the world when it's played properly. But when it's not, it can be a very frustrating thing, as it was yesterday for Toronto Blue Jays fans and baseball fans right across Canada. Everybody's shaking their head today. No one understands how that can happen. How you pull a pitcher 47 pitches in, especially a guy you've given $30 million a year to for the next 7 years. You got to what kind of faith you going to have in him next year? Or what kind of faith is he going to have in you next year is the better question. It's crazy that turned out that way for the Jays, and now they're in another year gone. What next? And where do we go from here? And that's the thing with the Toronto Blue Jays right now. Like, where do you go from here? It's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out. Interesting to see how it all plays out. But it's going to be a pretty interesting offseason in Toronto, and a pretty interesting offseason or playoffs as we move forward. And if you're going to the playoffs, make sure you use SeatGeek and use promo code 1420pod at SeatGeek.com today.
The foul baller. If there's a ball that's gone foul, he's gone to get it. Under his watchful gaze, all bevs, binoculars, and ballpark brats are safe. He's the only thing that stands between his section and certain destruction. That's why he only trusts SeatGeek with his tickets. The ticketing app trusted by fans. SeatGeek, so fans can fan.
Thank you very much, SeatGeek, for being a major sponsor of the 1420 Sports Bar podcast and 1420 in the morning. We appreciate all the support you've given us over the year and a half, or whatever it's been, since we jumped on board with you guys. So thank you very much, SeatGeek. Use promo code 1420pod at SeatGeek.com today. Let's get on this days and some birthdays, and we'll get out of here for the day. On this day in 1983, Edmonton Oilers superstar Wayne Gretzky scored a goal and assist in the Oilers' 5-4 win over the Toronto Maple Leafs at Northlands Coliseum in Edmonton. Gretzky went on to have a 51-game point streak that lasted until January 28, 1984, in a 4-2 loss to the Los Angeles Kings. It was the Kings' only their 15th win of the season that year. When they came through and stopped the streak. It's kind of odd that it happened that time for Gretzky. But during the streak, Gretzky averaged 3 points per game, totaling 61 goals, 92 assists for 153 points. Gretzky would amass 205 points that season, 87 goals, and 118 assists in 74 games, helping the Edmonton Oilers to their first Stanley Cup. Funny thing about this, when I was doing some research yesterday, I was at that game in Edmonton in 1983. My cousin played for the Toronto Maple Leafs at that point, and so we would make the trek, and my mom found the ticket stubs or whatever yesterday. So I was at that game in 83, because we would always go to the Edmonton game and then the Calgary game when the Leafs were in Alberta. So yeah, I was at that game on this day in 1983. So a little bit of a throwback 40 years ago when I was just a young aspiring broadcaster, I guess 9 years old and everything else. But yeah, so on this day, 1983, Wayne Gretzky's streak of 51 straight games began in 1983. And those Oiler teams were unbelievable. You wonder how many Stanley Cups they would have won if they would have stuck together in the Pocklington trade and everything else with Gretzky and the Kings, and he went broke and Gainers, Wieners and everything. Yeah, it's a crazy story. You think they would have won a lot more Stanley Cups, but they were just so good. I kind of wish I would have watch them a lot more. We kind of took it for granted around here. Either you were a Flames fan or an Oilers fan, so you kind of took it for granted a little bit how good Gretzky was, and you just go all of a sudden, you go, geez, man, this guy's something else. Especially if you're a Flames guy, and that's where we worked. We were in southern Alberta, not the middle or the northern part of Alberta. So it's just interesting. Wayne Gretzky on this day in 1983, and happy birthday to Mary Lemieux, born on this day 58 years ago in Montreal, Quebec. Lemieux was drafted first overall in the 1984 NHL entry draft after lighting up the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League with 133 goals and 149 assists for 282 points in 70 games for the Laval Boisson. Lemieux would play 17 seasons for the Penguins. He took the 97-98 season to the 99-2000 season off for cancer treatment, but still scored 690 goals and 1,033 assists, 1,723 points total in his career, winning 2 Stanley Cups for the Penguins in 91 and 92. That 87 Canada Cup, as you can see if you're watching on YouTube, the 87 Canada Cup goal. I know everybody knows exactly where they were when that happened, 87. What a series that was with the Russians. It was 6-5 every game. Just amazing. And then the late goal, and Larry Murphy was on the wing. Everybody knew Larry Murphy wasn't getting that puck coming down the wing, and Gretzky was going to feed it to Lemieux, and he went top shelf on, I can't remember the goal. It was Vladimir Nishtukin or something. And anyways, Lemieux played in 10 All-Star games in the Hall of Fame in 1997, and you just wonder what would have happened if Lemieux didn't get cancer, how many points he would have amassed over his long, illustrious career and everything else. And he saved the Penguins franchise, and he ended up getting the franchise because they owed him a bunch of money or something, and he's still part of the ownership group today and everything else. Anyways, that's it for today's show. Thank you very much for joining us. Got a little audio technical problems at the start. But we'll get that fixed up. But anyways, thank you very much for watching the show over on YouTube. If you subscribe, that would be great as well. Make sure you tell people the show and listen on Spotify and Apple and everything else. And we got Radlinski's The Ramblings is back. We're getting our website development going on again. So there's lots going on here at 1420 World Headquarters. We appreciate it very much. Dave and I are back on the air tonight doing a show. We'll talk I'm sure we'll talk about this Blue Jays team and everything else that's going on in the world of sports and in our own special way. We do it on Thursday nights and get into it a little bit and have some fun talking about things in the world of sports in our own special way. Anyways, that's it for this morning. And remember, it doesn't matter where you are. It's who you're with. Have a good day, folks. We'll talk to you tomorrow. You just listened to the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. 4 beer with the sports talking a whole lot more. We are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Let's get into it.